Hi, welcome to A.D.K Rock and Metal channel. My name is Kirk and this is episode 2 of Tales from the Underground. Although today's artist would probably qualify for an episode called Tales from the Overground if we were talking about English prog metal titans Haken. I've got Charlie Griffiths, who's one of the co-songwriters and lead guitar player from that great band. But we're not talking about Haken today, Charlie. We're talking about your sophomore solo album, which has now assumed the moniker Tiktaalika. So before we
Yes.
get into it, though, just give us a brief 30 seconds. What have you been up to today?
Today I've been practicing guitar as I try and do every day. Got to try and keep the fingers moving. We've got Haken have a Latin American tour coming up in a couple of months, something like that. So yeah, it's hit the kind of 2 month before a tour panic where I realize I've forgotten how to play everything and I've got to basically relearn how to play Haken songs on a guitar. Yeah.
Well, the good news is you've been doing a lot of guitar playthroughs for the upcoming Tiktaalika album, which goes by the title Gods of Pangaea. And there's a
Yeah.
17-minute playthrough, and your fingers, it reminds me of Tom Morello when you watch those early Rage Against the Machine videos. They're so long and thin, and you're making
Okay.
it look
Yeah.
very easy. I take it you are a full-time guitar teacher as well, and probably have residency at a university. Am I right?
Yeah, I did. I mean, not anymore, but I was teaching at a place called ICMP, which began as the Guitar Institute, which is where I studied in the early '90s, and then I later became a tutor there for many years. But yeah, since like Haken got busier and this and that, I'm more of a kind of Zoom lesson kind of guy. I
Yeah.
do like magazine um, transcriptions, and even though those guitar magazines have now closed down, sadly. So yeah, I'm kind of unemployed, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know you've got your solo album. I remember seeing an interview with Richard Henshaw, and he said Haken's full time now anyway. That I'm guessing that must be the same for you. Like you said, you've got a Latin American tour coming up. So how much of your working time does Haken take up?
I mean, there's something to do every day. Whether it's decide something on WhatsApp, that we've been asked, or working on a new song idea, or as I said, like practicing songs for an upcoming tour. Um, it's kind of constant every day. And it's yeah,
Yeah.
occasionally I get like stretches of time where I can like write a solo album kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So I remember reviewing the 2022 album, which was in your name, Charlie Griffiths, and it had the title Tiktaalika.
Yeah.
You've now adopted that as the moniker. Why have you moved away from putting this out in your name?
Yeah. I mean, I should have just done the first one as Tiktaalika is the honest answer. It was kind of at the time it was like, well, will anyone know what this is? Like if it's some context with my name on it kind of thing. Um, but now it's like it just became too untidy and cumbersome on the cover. Um, I've got the artwork here. I'll just grab the
Yeah,
vinyl. Um, so like, this is the
beautiful Dan
vinyl.
Goldsworthy art.
It's got like Dan Goldsworthy painted that, and it's like
Yeah.
real super old school, late '80s, early '90s style. And he made this amazing Tiktaalika logo, and I thought, there's no way I'm going to ruin it by putting my name on there. So it was just, we'll just say that's the band name from now
That
on.
makes sense. Yeah. Anybody who's not seen the video for which single is it from this album where the skit is that Dan has sent you
Yeah.
the
So that
drawing, you've got to put all the colors in. That was hilarious. Are you in a you're in like a Christmas themed band called Slayer, aren't you, with this guy?
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of how our relationship started, really. It was like yeah, we did a couple of kind of parody Christmas Slayer videos, and where we take one or two Slayer songs and festive them up, and change all the lyrics to kind of Christmassy things, and we kind of have guest players. So that was how I first worked with Rhodey Walker from Protest the Hero, and a few other people, here and there, and yeah, we kind of got into making these funny animations, cartoons, which when it came to doing Gods of Pangaea stuff, we kind of used those skills again, on that.
That makes sense. Yeah. Do
So
you know,
that
I was going to ask the
first
next
single was
question.
the title track, and then the current single, Lost Continent, we did a full like 10-minute cartoon for that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching that today. You've answered my next question. I was going to say, how do you know Roddy Walker, from Protest the Hero? Am I right in thinking, did you all get together maybe during COVID and start doing Zoom sessions? Is that how some of the collaboration started?
Well, not really. I mean, it's basically I write everything and demo the whole lot, like guitars, record guitars, program bass and drums, and kind of with this old crappy microphone, I just kind of sing like where the lyrics and melodies, how I hear them, kind of thing. And then it's kind of all done on email. To be honest, it's just like I send it to Daniel De Jong or Tommy Rogers or Roddy Walker or Vladimir Lalish, and whoever's voice I have in mind for that, and I just kind of straight up beg them to sing on it. Um,
Yeah. Can I ask about Vladimir Lalic? I
yeah,
mean, I know he's been in two bands, Draconic and Organized Chaos. I've never really given him a listen, but is he more famous as an exhibition artist or a sculptor?
that's what he's doing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he's just kind of been at Goldsmiths College in London doing um, some kind of master's degree or something like that. Yeah, he does painting and sculpture, and that's kind of one string to his bow. He also, he's got this amazing vocal range. Actually, some of his kind of approach reminds me a lot of Mike Patton, where he's got this kind of that kind of almost kind of cartoon-like, almost kind of comedy to it, which makes he's awesome. And yeah, and obviously like that kind of tenor vocal range, and he can go right. Vladimir can go like super high and do these kind of the type of singing you usually hear on Broadway, kind of
Yeah.
thing. Like it's like, which I love. I love singers, and I'm always blown away by super rangy singers like that, and it's great to have him sing my lyrics and melodies. Yeah.
Did you not have any songs in mind for Devin Townsend when you were writing this?
I mean, I would love to have. Um, I mean, I just didn't ask. I don't know. I just go.
Because I mean, you've toured with her. You did a world tour,
Yeah,
didn't you,
yeah.
with
I
Devin?
I get the impression he's not really like a. I think he kind of likes singing his own lyrics, and I don't know if he ever. I mean, I've I know there's back in the day he was on a James Murphy album, which I revisited recently, and it's amazing.
That's the obituary and death guitarist, isn't it? Is it that
Yeah,
Road Runner album from the 90s? Yeah.
yeah. He no, he did like a couple of solo albums, and he had a sort of death metal band called Disincarnate as well at the time, and so I've been revisiting that stuff, and it's like I put it on, I totally forgot Devin was on it, and I was just like, this guy sounds exactly like Devin. It's crazy. But since then, I don't know if he does like guest spots or anything like that. I think he's just doing his own thing. Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right there. I mean, and what about Einar Zolberg? That's someone that you obviously has contributed to Haken in the past. Have you ever had him in mind for any songs?
No, not really. No, I mean, yeah, he did the kind of black metal part on The Architect
Yeah.
on Haken stuff, but yeah, he's definitely. It seems to sort of come from the song first. When I'm writing a song, I sort of have a voice in mind, and then it sort of as I'm writing it, the sort of voice I can hear the voice more, kind of thing. So it really depends on that, what type of I don't think I'll be able to kind of say I'm going to write a song for Einar now.
He wouldn't be using his black metal voice either, would he?
No, no, no. I mean, he's of course like he's one of the best singers in the world. So
Yeah, I mean,
would be
it's
awesome.
incredible, isn't it? Do you know that last Leprous album? I ended up not reviewing it. I think it's one of them that just defeated me. I just thought I'm gonna have to spend so much time. It deserves so much time, and I can't just give it three listens and then say 7 or 8 out of 10. And I ended
Yeah,
up not reviewing it and really enjoyed it. I just thought I'm gonna have to just
yeah.
let this be. Um, yeah,
Too good for him.
they supported you, didn't they? On did you tour with them? For Fauna? Were you out on the
Uh,
road with
Not no, it was a while ago.
Leprous?
We did like a dual headline thing. It
That's
was
it.
a kind of double billing kind of thing. It was when they were doing the Cole album. So I don't know. I'm terrible with dates and
Yeah,
years. So I couldn't tell you when it was, but yeah. But I mean, at the time, like Cole was one of my favorite albums, and it was really
yeah.
cool to hear that stuff live every night. Yeah, great.
Yeah, especially when it sits in those notes. I mean, so I'm just looking at it in the press release. It says musically the album, this is Gods of Pangaea, which is coming out in March, pays tribute to the art of the guitar riff with its DNA strands reaching back to the golden era of Merciful Fate, Judas Priest, Megadeth, Metallica. I've seen a Pantera poster with a pun on it in one of the videos. What
Yes,
other metal bands have influenced, or rock
Far
bands have
Beyond
influenced?
Devon was the pun. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So playing Far Beyond Driven. Yeah. Which other bands besides those can listeners expect to probably hear in the
Uh,
flavoring?
obviously, like the big four of thrash are kind of, you got to kind of touch base with those sonically. It's like when you play a thrash-ish guitar riff, it's gonna all that stuff goes back to Dave Mustaine in some way. I
Yeah.
think, like he's such a pioneer of a pioneer of the fretboard, and like the way he approached things was totally like unique. He's like sort of listening back to those early Megadeth albums and the early Metallica songs that he wrote as well. It's just like, man, he's got such a fingerprint. You can just tell it's him. It's so yeah, love that stuff. You know, Chuck Schuldiner, Death.
Yeah.
He's one of my biggest heroes. Um, man, who else? Even like more recent bands like Killswitch Engage. I really love their riff approach and their songwriting and um, yeah, but but at the end of the day, I'm just like an old thrash head, really. Like
Yeah. No, I'm the same. I always come back to that when
Metal
somebody says,
Church, Zentrix, whoever,
yeah,
those guys.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Sacred Reich, whatever. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
into all of it. Yeah,
Zentrix are legends where I'm from. I'm originally from Lancashire, near
yeah,
Preston, where they're from. And
awesome. Yeah,
yeah, they've put two albums out in the last 5 years now. So it's good that they're still doing it. What do you think? So normally the question is, Master of Puppets or Rust in Peace. What are some of the hidden gems of thrash metal, in your opinion,
hidden gems, man.
or underrated albums, maybe underappreciated, even from the big four?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like my mind goes like bands like Annihilator.
Yeah,
Like they had some like Alice in Hell, um, Never Neverland. So those albums were just like incredible, catchy songs. They were like just earworms. Like you would just hear Alice in Hell once, and you're singing it
yeah,
for next week. And it's like, and like Jeff Waters' guitar playing is just. I mean, everyone sort of has become the norm. Everyone has to say Hetfield. The down picking and like he's the king of that. Of course he is. But I would put Jeff Waters right next to him. He's like when you see him playing that stuff, it's so tight, and percussive, and on top of that, he plays solos like like Dimebag
yeah, it does.
kind of style, like these kind of bluesy fast runs. and it's also clean and accurate. And so yeah, definitely Annihilator. Those couple of albums, and like King Diamond. Like I grew up like them was on constant repeat, and so Andy LaRocque's gets like riffing and soloing is just so amazing. These kind of guys don't get anywhere near as much press as like the obvious people, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Do you know a band that always stand out for me? Prong. When you listen to
Prong.
like Beg to Differ
Oh
and
man. Yeah.
Cleansing, Tommy Victor as a rhythm player, he's got to be one of the best. But
Yeah.
he's one who's so overlooked. I mean, his alternate picking technique is so aggressive. To me, he's the best. And then like pinch harmonics, he was
Yeah.
doing that, even better than Dimebag, arguably
Yeah.
in the early 90s, wasn't it? So that
I
album
mean,
Beg to Differ for me is an
it's
underappreciated
funny,
band.
like these bands we're talking about, they were like influential to the guys that became more known for it. You
Yeah,
I saw a recent interview with like, well, it wasn't recent, it was an old interview with like Dave Ellefson, and they were talking about, and like, I think it was like Ellefson and Menza were being interviewed, and they were talking about they would drive to the studio at the Rust in Peace recording time
yeah.
kind of thing, and they were like listening to like Alice in Hell in the car, and like and that was like inspiring them
Yeah, that's impressive,
come
isn't
up
it?
with
Yeah.
their stuff. So it's kind of funny how it works. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Can I just ask what's unique to me about this is you write the songs, you're presenting these songs to Daniel De Young, Tommy Rogers of Between the Buried and Me, Roddy, we talked about, and you are giving them not just a sketch of what it's like in your demos. They basically is it just they don't even need to be flexible. You're just saying this is how it needs to be sung. Is it a
Yeah, for
bit like
sure.
that?
Yeah, I write every word, right? All the lyrics, and I record it, like so, and place everything, and I craft the lyrics and the phrasing of the words. It takes me, time to
Yeah.
craft exactly where the word should fall, so it grooves in the right way and all that. And yeah, and I'll send it. So it's kind of funny. So I'll just text Tommy and say, have you got time to record a song? Can I send you a song to listen to? And he'll like write back and say, oh, as long as I don't have to write anything, kind of thing. It's like he's like, he's busy like writing his own lyrics and all that. So it's like I kind of find that interesting. Like I think my job is to make it as easy as possible for them. I don't want to take up any more of their time than I need to. It's like if they can go in and just bang out a song in an evening, and then it's done, and I'm happy, and they're happy as well.
See,
But
do you know
especially,
when I read that, one of the things that came to mind. So I'm going to lead in with a question. What's your relationship like with Tesseract?
Tesseract.
Haken? I'm sure you're friends with him, aren't you?
Oh, well, I've only like really met them a couple of times, but I love their stuff. Amazing.
I wonder,
Like
could
we,
you present a song to Dan Tompkins in this manner?
oh, I would love to. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, funny enough, like we just bumped into them weirdly in Melbourne. It's but we both from the UK. Probably don't live that far away from each other, but yeah, the first time I met all of them was in Melbourne, which is kind of a bar. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I know Ackle's a big fan of Haken. I remember going to a show, Boston Music Rooms in London.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know that because you were a Londoner. And it was Dan Tompkins' solo show, and I saw Ackle Caney there, and we were talking about Haken because Ross Jennings, other band, was supporting.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
I know I'm sure it's mutual. He's a big fan, but I just wonder what if because Dan Tompkins is like Einar Zolberg. They can just light up the whole room. And there's a
yeah,
song on that last album where I'm like, is he showing off or is this just taking art to the next level? In terms of range.
yeah, yeah.
And like you giving him a song and like showing him how it's done, he's busy. He probably would appreciate that rather than
Oh
having to put pressure on
yeah,
himself.
that's for sure. Yeah, Yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
Next album. Next album.
Do you know the lyrics? So what I liked about the first album, 375 million years in the making.
Yeah,
So a Tiktaalik is an extinct tetrapod.
yeah.
Am I
I've
right?
got one to show you.
Oh, right.
We go. Here he is. There we go. I
Right.
think
Yeah.
that's kind of about maybe they're slightly bigger than that, but that's kind of
Oh, so it's almost life
yes. So it's
size.
like a kind of fish this end and like a crocodile head this end, and it's got these kind of fins that um it was like the earliest appearance of like finger type bone structures
Yeah.
in the fins, which kind of evolved into legs and over time.
Ah, so that makes sense. Yeah. Are you still, I know that you've changed the name and now it's now known as Tiktaalika. That
Yeah,
obviously is a play on Metallica, isn't it? But what are you exploring the same themes, about geological time, fossilization, those kind of things on this
yeah,
album?
exactly. Yeah, so like Pangea was like the supercontinent where like the jigsaw of continents that we see today, if you reverse the plate tectonics, like they all kind of marry up into one supercontinent, and it was around kind of 250 million years ago, and there was like this hundreds of millions of years of time where dinosaurs ruled that continent,
Yeah.
I think. And so yeah, there's a lot to draw from historically from that time period.
And at
And
least when you go into the record, you know already in advance, don't you, what you're going to be writing about? And like you say, the phrasing of the lyrics, I'm guessing, do they come last, the lyrics? Do you write the music first?
yeah, I mean, yeah, I wrote all the riffs and all the arrangements first, and then I write the lyrics later, and then more often than not, like sometimes like the lyrics will affect how I hear the riffs. Then I'll sort of change the riffs a bit to kind of match the lyrics better, or just kind of keep sculpting it until I'm happy with it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so although lyrically it sort of draws on like geology and paleontology and all that, I didn't, if you're kind of too kind of sciencey with it, it can be a bit dry, I think. So I had to kind of inject some fiction and sort of mysticism into it, kind of thing. So I had this idea of, like there's a kind of, there's a whole group of people that think fossils and paleontology is like a myth, that it's not real. And there's like this phrase that it's probably quite a famous one. It's like the devil put put those fossils there to kind of trick humanity, kind of thing. So that was like one angle I took with it. Like, what if that was true? If like these dinosaurs' bones had some kind of evil energy in them, kind of thing. And I thought it'd be pretty funny if like that were true, and then if that were true, wouldn't there be like some kind of church, like a satanic dinosaur church built around it, kind of thing? And like, why isn't there, kind of thing? Yeah, that was my thinking of like why that was like the image I saw of this kind of
Beautiful artwork. Yeah.
evil.
Sinister artwork, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. It was like inspired by like Ed Repka
Yeah,
did like spiritual healing, like
definitely.
one of the best album covers ever, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
like this kind of idea of like an evil preacher and he's got this sort of claw, like dinosaur claw pendant, and the Bible has dinosaur skin,
Yeah.
and there's like dinosaur fossil remnants in the church, and then the inside gatefold
Right.
is amazing as well. Like
Yeah. See what you mean.
yeah, it's like
Yeah. So I mean, so Dan, that's the thing. You're not just asking for front cover artwork from your buddy Dan, are you? He's got to, like you say, do the
uh,
inside of it as well.
yeah. I mean, I put everything into like the physical art form of it. Like I'm
Yeah.
still kind of old school like that. Whereas like I want people to be at a record store somewhere in the world and like flicking through that there's nothing more fun than that than finding records. And I love doing that and like looking at the artwork. And
Yeah, I
I
agree.
would love to think someone would pull this out and think it was like from 1991. That's
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I'll give you an example. I remember being in a record shop, this would have been late 90s, and seeing Celtic Frost to Megatherion. I was like,
yeah,
I've got to buy that. I don't even know anything about
yeah,
it, but
man.
just
It's
like
like
amazing artwork.
HR Giga artwork on that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's so
it's literally
iconic.
like you bought a record for because it looked amazing, right?
Yeah.
That was yeah. So yeah, we put everything into like the packaging, and in this day and age where it's everything's just on a little icon on your phone.
Yeah.
I don't want to let go of that.
I'm the same on that as well. Definitely. Uh,
And Dan, Dan being an artist, he's really passionate about it, and it's fun for him to do that. So I'll just sort of give him a couple of key words like spiritual healing meets Land Before Time kind of thing.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
his mind will just kind of explode with excitement.
Do you know the pink scarlet skyline? Did you have that in mind specifically as a color? Or is that you just left that to him and he
I
did it?
think Dan put that in. I think that was like a kind of he was kind of hinting at the peace cells
Yeah, of course.
guy for that one. Yeah.
That's the fun part, isn't it, with his artwork? Like, Silosis and which is the band? Is it Inhuman
Condition.
Condition? That
Yeah.
album's fantastic.
Yeah. Dan
And
did
that
that. Yeah,
I
that's
love that album. But there's a band. So I live in Hertfordshire at the moment, and there's a band called Muskill round here, a thrash band, and they use his artwork. And again,
oh
so
cool.
iconic. But you're looking at, oh, that like you just said there, that has a homage almost to Megadeth.
Yeah.
Peace sells, but who's buying? And you can find those things in there as well. It's great, isn't it? When you
Yeah, I mean that's the fun. It's like, who would get excited about that, I mean, it's like
other
for
than us
some
two.
reason he'll say to me like, "Oh, I'm going to put you're going to love the sky color." I'm like, so then he emails it and I see it and I think, "Oh man, yeah, peace sells, man."
Yeah,
It's like little things like that that make it just so enjoyable. Yeah.
definitely. There's just a couple more questions I want to ask them before we wrap it up. I was watching an interview with Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins recently. It was quite amusing. Someone said, "What are the questions you dislike hearing from your fans?" And the example he gave is he'll get someone come up to him and say, "Oh, Billy, Siamese Dream changed my life, but I don't really get anything after that." And he was like, in his
Yeah.
head thinking, "Why the fuck are you telling me that?" Are there any cliche questions, Haken fans, that you get all the time and you're just like,
Oh
why are you
yeah.
asking me about this?
Yeah, we definitely get that. Yeah, we definitely get, oh, I love the mountain, but everything after that was shit. Yeah, definitely. It's like you don't know how to respond. It's like, it's a perfectly valid point of view to say that. But it's like, oh, you don't, it's funny. Like it's like if I showed up at their place of work and started criticizing everything they did, pre 5 years ago, it's like, yeah, how would they feel about that? It's kind of funny. It's like,
So that's the main one, is it? The 2012 classic, The Mountain.
yeah, but
Sometimes get that. They're like, oh,
it's
I
all
don't really
good. Like,
understand Vector or Virus or
yeah,
Infinity.
but it's you can only find the humor in it. It's funny. Yeah. So which other realm of work would this be acceptable? It's like someone's giving you a annual review, like basically whenever they, it's like,
You have got to be thick-skinned, haven't you? Yeah,
yeah,
I'm not. I've never been in that position where I've released art. I mean, I'd be terrified knowing that it's going to be reviewed
yeah,
by my contemporaries. Can you remember
yeah.
what was before The Mountain? What was that album called? Because I know you reissued it, didn't you, recently?
We did Visions was before that, and then
Yeah,
Aquarius was the
that's
third
it.
one.
Yeah. What can you remember? Because do you know actually you supported King's X, didn't you? Early
Yeah,
on in your career.
yeah,
There's an underrated band. Ty Tabor, what a guitar player.
incredible. Yeah,
But Can you remember what it was like? Were you trepidatious the first time you put an album out there ready for review, or did you just not bother reading any reviews?
I mean, I think we were just so kind of oblivious to any of that. We just kind of didn't think about it. And it was just like we had some real stinker reviews. It was like, oh man. So but and those are the ones that obviously stick with you. It's like that, you never remember like all the good things people say, but someone says one critical thing, and that's the one you take with you, kind of thing. Um, but yeah, I guess we were just kind of like we didn't even realize that that would happen, and but it's at the end of the day, people are talking about it. Either way, it's good. It's all fine. Yeah.
Yeah. And final question then. So you put out, let's say, two albums in 2 years. I know we're early on into 2025. I'm sure you had this finished, you know, probably even mid 2024. Is that what you fitting it around Haken? Are you going to try and fill those gaps with your solo material?
I think so. Yeah, because like like Haken albums and like pop up every 2 years,
They do, yeah.
maybe every 3 years sometimes. Um, and it's just like you know, I don't have I don't have the patience to wait that long in between like putting music out, I guess. I want to just write songs, and it's like sometimes that doesn't line up with the Haken schedule, and so yeah, I just kind of put it out in this avenue instead. It's like if I'm in the mood to write a bunch of thrash riffs,
Chuck
and I'm
shoulder
having
the refs as well. Yeah.
yeah, Chuck's on the riffs, yeah, and yeah, and I have like a couple of months where I don't really have to kind of focus on Haken music too much. Yeah, then that's what I'm going to spend my time doing. That's what I'm inspired to spend my time on, kind of thing, trying to figure out this mystery of the guitar riff, man. It's like what is, I listen back to like this stuff and it's like, thank God I came up with that because like so I couldn't, I don't know how I did. It's like it's it's like a strange mindset you have to get into. It's like you turn on a tap, and it's like once you're into it, into the flow, it's like I kind of get a riff per day, kind of thing. But yeah, you have to kind of get into that. But if I sat down today and tried to write a riff, I might not come up with anything. So it's kind of bizarre. It's a bizarre mystery.
See,
But
I'm always impressed that I don't understand. I don't know how Haken can be putting out an album every 2 years. It's like even Periphery don't do that anymore. It's like when you look at how complex, but how much melody is in
yeah,
your music, it's like, do you know what you do with a solo album? Are you going to Ross Jennings and saying, I've written this song, it's all done for you? Surely that doesn't work with Haken, does it?
in Haken, yeah. Well, I mean, you usually like lyrics come from one person, kind of thing. So yeah, Ross will write lyrics. So of course he can just sing it how he wrote it, kind of thing. And then, but Richard writes lyrics. I write lyrics. Ray has written some lyrics. Connor writes lyrics. Still waiting for Pete Jones to get involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But the way we do it is definitely like it's obviously six people have to like it, so it's more of a collaboration. And so yeah, so say I write a lyric demo idea. But then, you just present it as like, here's my idea, kind of thing. And you have to kind of assume it's going to get pulled apart and changed around. And so all your kind of everything you sort of fell in love with, you have to kind of be prepared that that's going to go away, and be changed. And it goes through the mill of that collaborative, um, democratic process. So it's quite a sort of the opposite of what you might think in terms of like the workflow. It's like when there's more people, it takes longer to come up with the song. You know, so but when it's just me doing my solo stuff, I just do it, and it's just I do kind of like one or two versions, and then it's done. So it kind of comes out quicker.
Yeah,
Bizarre.
because I always, when I listen to your 2020 Haken album, Virus, Carousel always stands out.
Yeah,
And I always just think, I wonder what it was like in your head, because it's amazing, that song, and it's really heavy, but it's got some good, like, Depeche Mode synth in it.
yeah,
Even the intro almost sounds like, remember the band Silverchair,
yeah,
where Ross sings it, and then there's this unannounced tempo change that just goes full on Master of Abyss, and
yeah,
but it doesn't feel that chaotic. There's a real coherence to it.
yeah.
What
Well,
what was that like? I know we've meant to be talking about TikTok, but I do want to ask about Carousel because I love that song.
oh
What do you
man.
remember about recording that?
I mean, a lot of that's. I remember doing a lot of that album. Like so we had like the demos all done at one point, and then I think it was during the European tour we did with Devin. We were opening for Devin, and being that we were the opening band, and so we were kind of done by like 8 p.m. So we kind of got into this system of like we went to the bus lounge and basically had it all set up, ready to go, like a little kind of studio kind of thing. And so we went through that entire album together on the bus kind of thing. And it was just like a case of we had the project open on the computer and we were just kind of, it's like a big puzzle. You sort of take that verse and put it there. Does that work? No, it kind of sounds weird coming out of it into the next section. So we'll try it here instead. And, what if we make that riff more straight ahead or heavier or, and then, we'd have a microphone hooked up, ready to record. And it would just be like, would loop a section and like someone would think, oh, I can hear this kind of melody over it and just kind of sing da 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 da, da whatever,
Yeah.
whatever it turned out to be. And you're just sort of singing sounds. There's no lyrics at that point. And yeah, and you just keep doing that until like you can't hear it going anywhere else. It's like you might hear a section, you think, oh, I could hear that going somewhere else. So you try that. And then but then when you finally hear it and everyone's like, yeah, everything flows to me. I wouldn't want to change anything. Then it's done. Yeah.
Is it possible? Just last question then. So I keep saying that. Because when you're writing your solo album, the way you've described the writing of Carousel from that 2020 album, there's six people and you've all got to like it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel like you're overthinking it because you understand why you're doing that. Have you ever written one of your songs and it's been a similar process to like the way that you've composed the final version of Carousel? And would that be considered overthinking? And if you
Maybe.
did,
I just kind of do it like I get into the habit of like I work on some riffs in the morning. Like I do like 4 hours of just sitting here and coming up with stuff and trying to piece things together. And then my reward for that is I go on a walk. I get out in the fresh air and just walk in the park for an hour. And then I listen to what I've done, you know, um, just over and over on loop. And it's like, and it's that thing of like you're hearing a couple of sections you've put together, and then you can hear it go somewhere else. You think, oh, it could go that I could have had an idea there, kind of thing. So then the next day, try and implement that idea you had and do it again, like walk around, listen to it. And then when it gets to the point of you can't hear it going anywhere else, that's like that's the satisfying part. It's like, oh yeah, I think I've written a song. It's like I think I've done it again. Yeah, kind of thing. Which you always think, am I going to be able to do it again? Because it's like you don't really know how you did it to begin with. It's very strange feeling. Yeah.
You still get that buzz like you remember in the 90s if you'd have a 4-track cassette recorder and you do your
Yeah.
rhythm guitar and then you put a solo of it and play it back. Do you still get that buzz?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
amazing, isn't it?
It's just got more expensive these days because now you have to like buy like an amp. Like I want that amp that made
Yeah.
that, the amp they had on Master of Puppets, I want that kind of thing, which now you can get it, but you have to pay lots of money for it kind of thing. So so it's when you can like play your riff back, the way I do it is like this reamping technique where it's like everything exists just in software to begin with. So you've got like digital modelers and plugins that sound kind of like the amps kind of thing. But it's not until you can sort of feed it back into the amp and back into your song, and then you hear it with the real amp, and that's yeah, I get a buzz from that because it's like, oh man,
Yeah.
as good as digital is getting, there's something about tubes and the real electronics that it's just got more of a soul to it. It's cool.
Yeah. No, I definitely can see where you're coming from. So yeah, well, thanks for joining us then on episode 2 of Tales from the Underground. I just want to let our viewers know that Gods of Pangaea comes out on the 14th of March. It is the archetypal prog metal and prog rock label Inside Out Music, Dream Theater, Devin Townsend. They're probably the two most famous
Yeah.
names on that label, aren't they? Along with Haken. So
Mhm.
yeah, go out and be prepared for that 14th of March. You've kindly shown us the 12-inch vinyl version.
Yeah.
This is a homage to thrash metal, but the songs I've heard, we're not revisiting 1986. It's still got a lot of groove and drop tune guitars, and yeah,
It's
I
kind of
loved the first album.
nostalgic, but also modern, I think.
Yeah, that's best way to say it. Yeah. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us, Charlie, on the show, and hopefully we'll be able to speak
Pleasure.
again in the future.